again. It's time for a look at this morning's papers. Now, joining me is the author and broadcaster Emma Wolf and the entrepreneur Kate Hardcastle. Emma and Kate, good morning to you. Thanks so much for getting up so early and being with us today. Let's start with you, Emma. Front of the Express, what has Lord Agnew been saying?
So this is a call for the Chancellor to seize back the stolen billions of COVID funding, which was illegally sort of claimed during the pandemic. Lord Agnew, who was until recently the government's anti-fraud minister, has been saying that this money, these stolen billions, up to £37 billion of our money, the Treasury coffers, which was fraudulently claimed during the pandemic, he's saying that should be clawed back by the Chancellor in order to basically help ease the cost of living crisis.
Kate, what do you think? How plausible is that?
I think that we've got a Chancellor of the Exchequer who was very visible a couple of years ago and was making sure that when he was putting in measures to make sure that there was going to be an economy to return back to and make sure that people were helped through the pandemic, we saw him everywhere. And I think this is a time of crisis and we need to see that Chancellor being more present and understanding what actions are going to be taken. And for me, that's the starting point for everything.
Let's stay with Rishi Sunak. The Observer, the front page there, what are they saying, Kate? They're warning that senior Tories are actually worried about Rishi Sunak's policies.
A couple of things here. Firstly, that former Tory Cabinet Minister David Davis, who was the, for God's sake, go to Boris Johnson, has said that he feels this could be returning to the time of John Major's very famous Black Wednesday in '92, which was the economic disaster that really was the beginning of the end for the Conservatives. Now, some Conservative leaders have said since actually that was putting a great economic path in the long term down for New Labour to come in and reap the benefits. But at the time, it was disastrous. Certainly an impact was felt. And I think this is the scaremongering, the real push to his fellow Conservatives that he wants change. And that is, we need a reality check. We have got this horrendous cost of living crisis. We've got non-answerable elements of where funds have gone that are desperately needed. And I think this is the time for action that we're not seeing. We're just not seeing to any extent. And reassurance, we've got people absolutely leading chaotic lifestyles, trying to make those decisions between heating and eating. That's a reality. And it's no surprise that the Conservatives are going to feel the push when it comes to the next electoral poll, because how can anyone look at them and think that they are doing the right job by the British public right now?
Emma, what do you think? Do you think this is just scaremongering, or do you think it will actually harm the Tories at the polls?
I think it is going to harm the Tories at the polls. I think that, they're already seen now as the party of high taxation. And, let's just think for a moment about Friday, Bleak Friday as it was called, the 1st of April, when literally everything went up. Energy prices up over 50%. Broadband went up, water costs went up, national insurance is going up this week, council tax goes up, even stamps went up, Kimberly. I mean, it's really, this is the overwhelming concern of the British people in all the polls are showing us that it outstrips the pandemic, it outstrips the NHS as the leading concern for people right now facing a really bleak year coming up. And, it's all very well we're going into summer now, but we know that in October prices will go up again. I don't know how people are meant to cope, and I really do think the Chancellor is going to have to do something to address this crisis. Otherwise, the Tories are going to get hammered at the polls.
Kate, do you agree? Do you think he's going to have to do something, given that it's all just going to get worse?
Yes, and he has to be visible. I mean, we need to hear from him. Families need to hear from him. This is so challenging, Kimberly, because, we are not just talking about the financial element of it. We've got families that have had the impact of 2 years of trying to deal with a pandemic, young children in those families trying to understand what it all means, feeling the day-to-day impact. And now we have this to try and support families through who are feeling the mental impact of it, as well as the physical and reality of it. We've got food banks reporting that half of their users are actually employed people. So we've got the workers that are kind of dropping down into the poverty and hard-pressed family measure because of this cost of living crisis. You can budget all you want as a family. You can try and pull back on a supermarket shop and everything. But when the reality is that food and fuel make up such a vast part of your income spend, that you don't have that room for manoeuvre, this is reality. And I agree wholeheartedly. October petrifies me, really worries me, because the minute we turn back into needing that fuel, when inflation is said to be going up and up and up this year, and families might have just managed to adjust to some type of level, they're going to be hit all over again with that impact. So we need deeds, not just words, but we need the words as well. We need reassurances. We need support for families who just feel that they're in now the third year of chaos.
I'm sure you're not the only one who's worried about October looming before us. Let's have a look at the Sun now. Emma, you picked this out. John Bercow actually earning quite a lot of cash from this app Cameo.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether this one made me laugh or cry, Kimberly, but anyway, this is the disgraced former Speaker of the House of Commons, who, let's remind ourselves, only a few weeks ago, an inquiry found that he was a serial bully and liar, and they upheld 21 complaints against him. He's earned around £25,000 already from making these online video greetings for a company called Cameo. He sort of, does a sort of hello to various businesses, charging around £20 a minute for this delightful video greeting. Andrew Bridgen, the Tory MP, says there's no accounting for taste. Obviously, if you want a video greeting from John Bercow, then there is no accounting for taste. John Bercow himself said of the inquiry that, the inquiry was a disgrace and he has absolutely nothing to apologise for. So he's unrepentant. But he has been banned from Parliament for life.
Yeah, the Andrew Bridgen quote was good, wasn't it? Okay, what is this? Sunday People, page 4. I'm back to what you were talking about, the cost of living, Kate. Protests this weekend, understandably so.
Quite right, and also linking into those protests as well, many people raising and highlighting the significant effect for P&O workers that are still needing support and help, and still, I'm sure, in absolute numb shock as to what's happened. So we have the reality that this snap in terms of how families are going to cope needs support, needs help. Households are just in a complete turmoil of what to do, and no reality check with the government, it seems. And I think you're going to see more and more of this as people just in desperation hold their hands in the air and say, well, what are we meant to do? How are we meant to do anything about that? Because I talked about that trap that people are really finding themselves in. We've spent probably 10, 15 years now as experts guiding people on how you can be in the driving seat with your finances. How can you switch from this insurance policy to that one? We've seen a huge wave of websites enabling you to do that. How to save pennies, save cash here by swapping from one supermarket to another. The reality is that will just not make the effect when you have got hundreds and hundreds of pounds in an increase in your fuel bills.
Let's lighten the mood a bit. Sunday Mirror, we've got a minute left, Emma. What is this about clutter? Oh my gosh, my blood runs cold when I read this.
Half of households have a room in their house, a loft or a spare room or even a garage, which is too cluttered to use. But around 66% of buyers who have all this clutter said it would actually put them off buying a house if it was a horrible, cluttered mess. Around a quarter of us say that we would like to declutter, but also that we don't have time or that we absolutely can't face it. But an expert, Kimberly, says if we cut out the clutter, we live better with less, give ourselves more headspace, we will enjoy life more. So there we go. What we need to do today on our happy Sunday today is declutter.
I was actually going to do just that. I was going to do just that. Emma and Kate, thanks a lot. We'll see you next hour.